And hello, everybody. Well, let's go on with the pricing Q&A. Tracy, you had a question.
Do have a question. Okay. So I have not pre-formatted this question in my head, so you'll see how clear it is when I talk it out. So I am like the queen of changing my offers. And I like to learn and then implement that as soon as possible. And so I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be a thing. And then I do it once and then I'm like, no, I think this is better. And I do everything one-on-one. So it's not so much that. It's just when I have a package right now. I'm very confident in the price about people have bought it. It's a 30-day package. And my most successful client engagements have been longer than that. So now that I see what I think works better, I don't know that I want to do 30 days. I think I want to do 90 days. Now, and then there's like some other things that like I want to do. How many calls would that be? And blah, 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 blah. And so I'm very confident with this one price. I now want to move to this longer out, more calls program. Is it easiest just to say, so like the program I have right now is a 2-call 30-day, and I want to make it a 6-call 90-day. So is it as simple as triple that price and therefore I have it? Triple the price is more than I've ever charged anybody for anything. So it's not that it's necessarily not the right value, like it's the value alignment is bad because people are buying the 30-day package. But I just want it to be, I want to give people longer term support, because what I do is really getting people confident in how they're going to show up. And I want people to have more time to practice. And 30 days in retrospect seems not enough time to practice. So just any tips you have on that, easy as tripling, some other kind of crazy formula you have.
I'll just rephrase the question to see if I got it. Okay.
Okay.
So you want to triple the inputs because you think that would serve your clients better, and you want to convert the price from what you're charging now to triple the input. And you're wondering, is it as simple as tripling your price, or are there some other considerations?
Yeah? Correct.
Okay.
It's much simpler when you say it, but yes, that.
that doesn't matter. So first, no, it's not as simple as tripling. It's not as simple as tripling because you never want to, at least internally, you never want to base your price exclusively on your inputs, right? Is it triple the value? Is it more than triple the value?
I would say from my experience.
Yeah, okay. From your
I would say it's at least triple the value, but it's also different because I've had like 2 different types of implementations, one over 90 days, one over 30 days. The 90-day one was super effective. The 30-day one is on the cusp of, I will just offer an additional call because we haven't had enough time to do the thing.
Okay, so based on that, even if it wasn't triple the inputs, I would say it's totally okay if you triple the cost. But maybe so 90 days is a long time. How do you charge now? Do you charge everything up front?
Yes. Well, if somebody wants to negotiate payments, then I have done that, but 90% of my clients pay upfront. And
these, so you would charge upfront for 90 days as well?
Yes. And I would, now you're probably going to scold me for this. No. I'll say, like, if you pay in advance, like if you pay everything upfront, you get a little bit of a discount, unless like if you're paying monthly, which would be an option because it is 90 days, it ends up being a little bit more because you're paying in smaller chunks.
Okay. I'm not going to scold you, but I would never. So if they ask, yes, they can get a discount. Volunteer. You don't volunteer discount.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
If they don't ask for it. So I wouldn't necessarily do that. I would charge them more, a little bit more, if they want to.
The payment plan.
Yeah, if they want the payment plan. The problem is basically not the waiting period or the input. It's just about the value. So the logic here is if they're buying it now, so 3 times less the input, 3 times less the value, they will be fine with paying 3 times the price for 3 times the value. So let me revise my first answer. It's fine to triple the price if you're tripling the value. It doesn't matter if you're tripling the inputs or not. If you five-folded the inputs but tripling the value, triple the price. Don't five-fold it. If you just double the inputs and triple the value, triple the price. So the price should be parallel to the value, not to the inputs. Because let's take it to the extreme, right? If you could make the change by snapping your fingers, you're still entitled to the full value, to the full price, right?
Right.
And what people often make a mistake is to say, well, here in this package, you get more time with me. Time with you from personal experience in your coaching session is a great thing, but it's not everybody has that experience. And it's not naturally a good thing that they have to spend more time with you. So saying you will get, so you have, I don't know, 2 packages. One is you spend 2 times 2, right? 2 times 2 hours, and then that's 6 times 2 hours, and this costs more because you spend more time with me. I would like, as a general client, I would like to spend as less time that I have to get the value. If that's 2, that's 2. If it's 6, it's 6. But saying this is 3 times the price, or this is this price because you get 6 meetings. You say you get this. You get multiple chances to implement what we're saying, and you get multiple chances for me to correct your form, to show you, to demonstrate what needs to be demonstrated. By the way, that's usually 6, right?
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. But not necessarily. The sole reason why this costs this much or that costs that much. Yeah, I hope I answered there.
Yes, no, that's a good point, because it totally makes sense to do it based off of the value, not just based off of the inputs. Because there's also, like, if I'm not confident right now that the inputs are getting the results, then I need to adjust my inputs for the current value, regardless of future value. So I think that is very helpful. Thank you. You have a question?
Thank you. Okay. It's obviously here that I talk a lot about what it doesn't make sense to charge per hour. So the question here is, for what services does it make sense to charge per hour? Of course, I mean, that's the usual way of charging, and it makes sense for services that are pure commodity, which means they're undifferentiated. It doesn't matter who does them, and that's the important thing. The amount of work is easily quantifiable. So something like sticking stamps onto envelopes. So if the norm is 2,000 envelopes an hour and you want to get paid for 3 hours, I better see 6,000 stamped envelopes. It's that simple. So for those kind of absolutely non-expert commodity services, it absolutely makes sense to charge per hour. But if what you do cannot be done by just anyone with a pulse and the ability to stick to simple rules, it doesn't make sense to charge per hour. When I set prices for the value I provide, I fail. Why doesn't that work? Well, value is a slippery concept. And the customer wants to pay for the part of the value that they can see, that they can perceive in some way. Yeah, it fails because they don't see the value that you do. And that's by definition almost. When you're an expert, those people who know how to value what you do are people who know enough about what you do not to need you. Usually your clients, almost by definition, will be those who can't see the value, and if they can't see the value, then they of course won't pay for it. So you have to speak the language of your client and talk to them about the value that they perceive and expand that value, and then you won't fail in setting fair prices. Why won't my client do the logical thing and save money in the long run? Like I said, the thing is, the logic is clear to you, not necessarily to your client. But even so, not to repeat the last answer, you should never think that you have the whole picture. So maybe, yeah, maybe it clearly saves the client money, or increases their revenue, or lowers their risk, or whatever. But maybe if you do that and you save the money for the company, somebody dear to your buyer, to your client, will get embarrassed because it will become clear that the money saving could have been done before, or that they are very inefficient. So it will embarrass somebody that they don't want to embarrass. So it's not about the money, it's about political points. Or maybe they have been promised the moon before by somebody who looks or walks or talks like you, or is from the same country. And it failed, it crashed, and it burned. They had to cut their losses, and they have trouble trusting you when you say this is going to be the case, right? Or maybe they're not afraid of the money. The money is fine, but they're afraid that their team is going to be tied up with this. That they don't have the time to do that, they're overworked anyway, or that a particular high value overworked employee will quit because of it, right? So the even if the money part is logical and they perceive it, it still doesn't have to be their greatest concern. So this is why it's not always about the money. And
Right.
the most smart thing there is to ask and see what you can find, and what other worries you can incorporate into your, let's say, bid, into your price.
Philip, can I ask a
Yeah.
follow-up question to
Yeah,
that?
of course.
Because I know in one of your videos you talk about like revenue chasers and cost squeezers and the other ones. And so I would guess when it comes to the concept of somebody making a logical decision, that is different. The logic is different for each of those groups. So that probably plays into it as well.
Yeah, of course. So a revenue chaser is somebody who is primarily motivated by increasing revenue, but also doing it now. So not having to think about the problem anymore tomorrow, if it's possible. If it's not, when is it possible? In a week? In 2 weeks? 6 months? No way. No way. It has to be done quicker. They don't care. They just can't deal with that for another 6 months, right? You know, fail fast, move fast, break things, that kind of logic, right? The problems that we solve are usually not that important to our clients. Well, they don't seem as important as they should, right? You deal with a very important problem. Nicole also deals with a very important problem, but those don't seem as important or as pressing as we know they are. But it's it's a how is it called? It's bad for you to say to the client, you know, you have that problem, you should pay me to fix it. Conflict of interest. That's what I was searching for, right? You seem to have an important problem. You should pay me for it to go away. Yeah. So they have to be the ones that come up with the idea that they have a problem. You seeing it is not enough, right? So that's the revenue chasers. A cost squeezer will always say yes, that's the logic, but also some cost squeezers look more to the short term. How is this going to look on my quarterly? Some will rather look at the long term. Those are rare. Then risk dodgers will say, no, I want to do this right? But you have to show it that this is the right way, not just your way. You have to show some data. You have to the risk dodgers are the most tricky to communicate, right? And the optics people, their logic is, how will this look if it becomes known that we're upgrading our security? That will look like we have bad security, right? If it's, I don't know, if we're talking about bettering our personal brands for our people, that will look like we are insecure about keeping our people, right? If we're talking about handling money, that will look like we're mishandling money. We can't afford that. We can't afford that. It's not about the money here. It's about the political points, right? So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, the logic is not. It's much broader than math here, basically. Even the business logic is at least divided into those 4 categories. And walking confidently up to them and saying you should follow my logic is usually futile. Do people really care if I'm nice and or easy to understand if I'm the best in solving their problems? Oh, the objective value, right? Okay. So not to go into the definitions this time. The straight answer is it depends how mission critical you seem to them. If I really need a very good surgeon, that's the whole premise of Dr. House, right? Nobody cares about his bedside manner because you're gonna die if he doesn't diagnose you. So that's the whole joke, right? And that's pretty mission critical. But if you're not perceived as mission critical, then yes, it really does matter if you're easy to understand, or even if you're nice. Because like I said in the last, you may know that they have a serious problem, but it doesn't seem like that bad. You know, it's the dog sitting in the middle of the fire and saying this is fine, right? Yeah. We may be financially in the hole for the foreseeable future, but yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So you getting through to them, you showing that you actually know what you're talking about, that you understand their position, that you have done this before. This is this climbs in the overall picture, the less they see you as mission critical. So does it matter? Usually, yes. It's very rarely that we have job descriptions which everybody sees as mission critical, right? I deal with prices. I deal with increasing the price. Somebody would say, well, you know, you can't get more mission critical than that. No, that's not true. Many people say I'm perfectly happy with what they charge, or it's impossible to charge more anyway. So they don't see it as important at all, which is fine, right? So from my personal experience, it matters if they understand you. It matters if you seem nice, if you seem approachable, if you seem human. It doesn't really matter that much how good you are if nobody's there to notice. It's much. It makes much more business sense to be 60% as good as the best one, but 100% more approachable than the best one. It makes much more business sense than otherwise, vice versa, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I know this is not my show, but you know me and I can't help but say something on this note. Is that in terms of being liked and things by people, there will always only be a segment of people who like that anyway, right? So by thinking about how you can show up as yourself and get liked for that, then that is also part of your ideal client base, right? Like these people, 'cause there's only one way. There's one way I know to show up as likable, right? I have my way of doing that, and I could try and show up as someone else's likable way, but then I'm probably going to attract people who are attracted to that kind of way. And if it's not my way, then I've built my business around being somebody else and showing up a different way. So that can be really hard. So just in terms of the, like, yes, it's important to get people to like you, and it's easiest to get people to like you just for you instead of thinking that there's some other overly complex formula for being liked by people.
Yeah. Thank you. is why would a client ever consider paying me based on value when pricing per hour makes me cheaper for them? Good point, but clients are not typically out to get you. They want the best buy, the best return on investments, but it's not always the cheapest price. And this may be at odds with your experience. But the trick is, if they cannot see clearly a convincing difference between you and your competitors, the only relevant difference for them is the price. Now, competitors that are happy to be paid per hour usually only provide estimates. They don't stand behind their price. So if you price on value, you stand behind your offer, as the value for the customer won't change just because you had to pour more hours into it, right? So you can say, I don't do hourly, but I also don't provide estimates. I stand by my price. So by by choosing me, you reduce the risk of hiring somebody who is 3 times cheaper, but also 10 times slower, and will, as a result, be actually 3 times more expensive for you and be 10 times slower. So the incentives are better this way, right? So this is how you get around people saying, I don't get it. How could I compare you to somebody else, right? In general, you don't want to be compared apples to apples. It's not good for you or your competitor. But if you can't avoid it, and you usually can't, this is the trick. This is, you say, can you ask them to stand behind the price, and they will probably say no. If it takes us longer, you will pay more. And guess what? A client who doesn't know what they're talking about, and like I said, they're almost by definition our clients, will almost always have a lower expectation of what needs to be done here, because they don't understand the scope, right? So they will always underestimate, so they will always overpay, and they usually have that experience. So somebody standing behind their price is actually something that is usually a big plus for clients. People, thank you very much for your attention and your questions, and
Everything changes.